What's up, guys? mcstu here, and today I want to talk about a big announcement that we have. I'm pretty excited about this, given everything that's going on, and we'll get to that here in just a moment. But first, what I want to do is kind of premise this. So what we're talking about is not necessarily the state of Star Trek Online, but really kind of what's going on with the essentially the merger between DECA and between Cryptic Studios. So just a quick recap: we have Embracer Group. They bought Cryptic Studios from Perfect World about 2 years ago and put it under Gearbox. Embracer Group had some problems and had to do a whole bunch of restructuring because of some huge amounts that they were basically over leveraged, and have canceled a whole bunch of games, closed studios, and as a part of that, they've moved Cryptic Studios over to DECA. Okay, DECA is a publisher and a developer. Gearbox was just a publisher. So when it got moved over originally, we didn't really see much in the way of changes and things like that. It still operated, from what we could tell, pretty independently. Now that it's been moved over to DECA, what we're really seeing is Cryptic Studios and DECA kind of being merged together. So you have a whole bunch of hiring happening from DECA for Star Trek Online specifically. Spencer's covered this CasualSAB in great detail, and we're going to look at a couple little chunks of some of his videos, and I'll link those down if you want to look into kind of detail him chronicling people that are leaving and those kinds of things. But what I want to start with is kind of talking about the problems that we're kind of seeing. And this isn't about like pooping on them and doom and gloom. That's for you, Kale. You know what I'm talking about. Inside joke. Sorry, guys. It's really going to be kind of highlighting, kind of what the problems are that we're seeing and what it is that we really need so that the game doesn't suffer. And with the announcement that we've gotten, hopefully we're going to get some answers to that. Okay. So why don't we start with just jumping right into a segment from Spencer's last video. He kind of talks about some people leaving. We'll quickly just kind of talk about that and some other issues that we're having server-wise.
Okay, and for this, there have been some recent departures, some of which I've covered in some recent videos. The most recent being just from this past Tuesday, where I talked about Al Rivera leaving and how Thomas Marone, the art director for the game, has also posted now on LinkedIn that he...
So Al Rivera, guy that's been at Cryptic Studios long time, leaving. And if you don't know, Cryptic Studios, they developed years ago their own engine, or took, partially completed one and completed it. So the having people that have been there a long time and understand the systems. It's not like they're using Unreal Engine, right, where you can just pull people from anywhere, things like that. So there's some concern, but again, I mean, even with it being like that, it's not like someone that's that's familiar with Unreal Engine couldn't come in and easily kind of learn that stuff. But you have people that have been at the company for 20 plus years that know this stuff very, very well. And so there's some concern there. Long term, it may not be bad to get kind of fresh blood in there, but nevertheless, we're seeing, now also Thomas putting that he's open to work and basically making a statement he's looking for the next chapter in his career. Super talented guy. I've interviewed him once. Really nice dude. Does amazing work. He's got ships that he's created that have made it into the Star Trek show and canon. This guy's gonna land somewhere on his feet, no problem. With that being said, it's still a tough time over there. Morale has got to be pretty low, and you're seeing a lot of back end kind of people we're not as familiar with leaving as well. There was a not an announcement, but we had ran across another dev that was a pretty pivotal person at the team. Excuse me for hitting my mic there. That just popped up that he's actually working somewhere else right now, and so let's take a look at that. That person is Jonathan. And we'll just play a little clip of this here.
He's been the lead systems designer for the game for the past year or so. He's been a systems designer at Cryptic for quite a long time. But when Bordicus moved on to the other one...
And I'll kind of recap, what he says here, and I'll put Spencer's video down in the description for you guys, or CasualSAB is what his channel is. When they brought him to the lead, we really saw some really nice things in the game with ISO mags and different traits and things that were really kind of different than what we had gotten. Really kind of changed up the mechanics. It was very, very good for the game. It was fun for the game because it gave us all these other options. They had him on 10 forward a couple times. He was a delight, to watch and hear from. Really understands it, loves it, plays the game. So having him there in the background really made a lot of us feel better. a year ago, when we started seeing him and he got that promotion. So when that popped up that he had left and he's now working somewhere else, that's a big blow as far as we know, right? So the point of kind of, this part is demonstrating really why people are concerned, because that's really kind of the nut at what I'm trying to get at the moment, is that we're seeing, all these forward-facing people that are higher profile within, the company that are leaving. I mean, you have Ambassador Kale's been looking for work, that's posted, and we see that really across the board with most Cryptic employees, because it seems like it's not like an even merge, right? What we're really seeing is DECA kind of sucking it all up, and it seems like that's going to be taken over by them. The other issue that is just kind of underlying more than it normally is the lag in the game, right? So we've if you played this game for a while, we've dealt with it on and off. It's kind of a constant problem. Sometimes it's worse, but lately, over the past month, really since the latest lockbox came out, it's been terrible. Brett did a video kind of chronicling this earlier today, and I'll link this down in the description as well. But a few of us did a test, and I'll just explain it real quick, and then we'll just I'll mute it, and I'll just kind of play it so you can see, what's happening. But essentially, we all went into Leviathan on solo teams. So Leviathan's not a super popular TFO. You can tell when you log into it because it takes a while for it to spool that instance up. So if you've ever gone to like your ship bridge or something like that, you'll notice it takes a lot longer than it does to go down to like Deep Space Nine. That's because the server already has those instances spooled up. When you go to your ship bridge, it has to kind of create those, right? So we went into it. It took a while to load. That's just normal. It's how it goes. And basically, there was 5 of us running the TFO, but separately. So we're in our own instances running it solo. And we had one of the players activating Organic Nebula, I think is what it's called. It's one of the new traits, or not traits, bridge officer abilities. And most people that have played with it realize it's totally broken, and we probably think it's causing the lag. We are able to confirm that very easily. So like you just saw in the beginning of this, he's flying around. I'm actually in another instance as well flying around. So is Nick MB. And we had the other person go ahead and start activating this ability to see, okay, is it going to cause lag in other instances of this same TFO? We also had somebody sitting at DS9 to see at the same time, is it going to create lag there? And I'm going into a little extra detail, and there'll be a point here towards the end, right? So basically, we got 5 people in a TFO. We're all solo by ourselves. So there's 5 separate TFOs going, and we have another person at DS9, and we're all just flying around. The person starts activating all of these abilities, and you'll see what starts to happen as soon as these abilities start going off. We're bouncing around, we're zigzagging, we're rubber banding really bad, okay? And there's only 4 of us in, all of our 5 of us in all of these particular TFOs. Now, this did not affect the person at DS9. So it looks like all the different TFOs use, I don't know, the same processor or something like that, where if this is getting lagged out, it's not necessarily going to affect Social Zone, right? And we were able to repeat this, stop using these abilities, everything's perfect, start using the abilities, we start having the problem again. It's pretty straightforward what the problem is, right? We're not coders, this isn't scientific, but it's pretty straightforward. I would assume that this would be something that would be addressed pretty quickly, and maybe they have internally, and this just hasn't been pushed, they're still testing, I don't know. But especially during, these events, those, event TFOs are really bad sometimes. I mean, I remember going in Wolf 359, and I mean, it was almost unplayable. I was using my jellyfish. I'd do the beginning phase flying around shooting, and then I'd jelly mode after that. So it didn't really affect me, but it wasn't really the funnest way to play, but it was almost impossible sometimes to go and do this because you had lots of instances with lots of players using abilities like this, and there's other abilities that lag the game, not quite as bad as this, but this is the only thing that was being used. So, I mean, it has a huge effect, a much larger effect than other things that do. And so my point is that we were able, as a group of people to just play the game. I mean, we're not game designers. We're able to find right away this stuff's happening, and it's pretty clear, that this is causing it. Now, how you fix that and why it's causing it, I don't know, right? But I would assume that would be something that would be top priority, because if you can't play the game, what is, the transition going smooth, good ships, nice ground, none of it matters if the game doesn't work, right? And so I think that's another symptom that we're seeing of that transitional time. On top of that, like I just went over, we're seeing people leaving and these kinds of things. And really what it's doing when you put those things together, even though they're very kind of different, is we say, okay, there's bad morale happening. These things, the game is not running well. We're seeing all these people leave, most of the people that we're aware of leaving, right? So it feels like everybody's leaving, and we're saying what's going on, right? And there's no clarification, there's no communication. We're just left to pontificate and speculate. And that's something I really didn't want to do in this video, because the whole point of what I'm going over here is we have no idea what's going on, right? Now, they're a private company. They don't have to tell us anything, right? Or any of those kinds of things. But on the other end of it, we want Star Trek Online to do well and, get through this period and continue on for a long time. And at the end of the day, they're a business. I own a small business, and if my customers aren't happy and aren't buying, I got to fix something, because I need to be able to sell what I sell and make money and feed my family. Cryptic Studios needs to be able to sell ships and in the game in general in order for it to stay in business. If it starts losing money and things like that with what's going on with Embracer Group, they could potentially get chopped. And so, at a minimum, what we need is some sort of a statement from these guys to say, here's what's going on. Obviously, they don't need to give us all the details, but give us some clarification that, hey, be candid. Things might get a little rough. Bugs might be a little bit worse, but we're doing X, Y, and Z. And once we get on the other end of this, those things will be smoothed out, and we have a long road ahead of us. That's what people need to hear. And fortunately, it looks like that's what we're going to get to hear. Well, we're going to get to hear from somebody that should have these answers. Now, what they say to us is a whole nother thing. Again, I hope it's a candid and straightforward. I would appreciate that is, some vulnerability, I guess, if you will. We understand things are kind of feeling bad right now, and we get that, but here's X, Y, and Z. These are the plans for next year. We're going to get through this, and we're going to keep Star Trek Online going for a very long time. So what is that announcement? So over on Reddit, we have Phill Frazier. Here's his LinkedIn. He is the Chief Executive Officer of Cryptic Studios. He is the big dog, the main guy, the dude. The buck stops with him. And so I'm not going to read this whole post. I'm just going to go over kind of the important part, and I'll link this in the description for you guys as well. But basically what he indicates here is that he's been lurking through Reddit for, at night, comes home, he's looking through. Something prompted him to go ahead and make this, it was actually a comment, and then he went ahead and just reposted as a main post, I think, to get more eyeballs on it. So it prompted him to go ahead and make this statement. He talks about, transitional time. They're committed to, getting a smooth transition as they merge with DECA, essentially, is what he's saying. These teams combine. But the main point here is that he says down at the bottom that he has agreed to participate in a live stream with Ambassador Kale, which is Mike, Brett, and Jared in the upcoming weeks. He's pushing for the 19th of next month. I hope that happens sooner than later, but it just needs to happen. And I hope that he comes on and gives it to us straight. I mean, a lot of us, that have been playing the game a long time, we're committed. Give it to us straight, and, let us know what's going on, the good, the bad, the ugly. Obviously, you don't need to tell us all the inner workings and things like that, but, reassure us that you understand that we're feeling problems here that are probably also, connected to this transition. These server issues and stuff, they got to get fixed. I mean, the transition could go perfect, but if the servers aren't fixed, it doesn't matter. Okay, people, they're just logging in and out, and we want us being and playing, but we can't. So that's really got to get addressed, and I hope that they address that, give us some sort of kind of a roadmap. Here are the things we're shooting for this year, releases or whatever it may be, content releases. Even if they say, hey, you know what, we've upped the event campaign, we're doing a little bit more there in events, but missions are going to be a couple short this year. Hey, no problem. Tell us what the deal is. Give us some, some reassurance, because I'm getting a lot of comments, people that they're concerned. They don't want to put money into the game. And to be frank, I mean, I'm not really putting much in the game right now either. I mean, I did buy some upgrade modules and stuff, but I'm not going to go and buy a MUDs bundle or something. Not until I got some clarification that, not only, because I know they're telling us, the plan is for it to be around. And I believe that because Embracer Group didn't cut it. They moved it over to DECA, which is a place or a publisher that, takes older games and keeps them on life support and develops them and does those things. So I know that intent's there, but give me some reassurances that, they understand, the problems and that those are being worked on. And here's kind of what the outline of the plan is in terms of, a roadmap kind of a thing. that's what I'd really, like to hear. So I'm looking really forward to watching this stream, and we'll talk about it more when it happens. He did state in here as well, he's going to be continuing looking through Reddit, I'm assuming through these comments as well, for questions to answer. So I would encourage you guys, if you have questions, concerns, put them here. Be civil, I mean, there's no reason to come in and be toxic and things like that. And maybe you'll get a specific question, answered. And like I said, I mean, there's some really kind of core ones that they need to address. But get your voice heard, and you might find that you get some answers to that question. But again, I urge you guys, be civil, be nice. It's not his fault, this stuff's happening, at least in terms of the merger and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, the buck stops with him. This is a product they sell, and it's either good or it's not, right? Or you're going to assure us it's about to get a lot better, or whatever it may be. I mean, so he is ultimately responsible. But at the end of the day, this is just a video game, okay? There's no reason to get nasty with people and stuff like that. Most of us have, families and work and real life, things that really, really matter, right? And I know Star Trek's important, lifelong fan, but keep some perspective, when you're making these comments and stuff. I understand there's just going to be some a-holes. I mean, that's just the way it's going to go. So try not to poop on them too much. Constructive questions might give them things to think about and, consider that they hadn't, and could end up being very beneficial for all of us that want to continue to play this game. All right, well, I think that covers it, guys. So again, just to kind of recap, it looks like we're going to get the CEO of Cryptic Studios on a live stream here coming up very soon. I'll be giving you guys updates on that date when that happens, and following this closely. I know Spencer's covering this very closely as well. And again, there's links for Brett's gaming channel down in the description, and the videos for Spencer's videos covering this as well. So check those out. I'll put a link for the Reddit post down there. Let me know what you guys think. Does this make you, I don't want to say make you like feel better or happy, because what if he comes on and just like, F it, I'm out kind of thing, right? Which I doubt is going to happen. But I mean, how do you feel about this? I mean, you think this is good, or it's kind of like whatever, won't make any kind of difference? I know a lot of that will depend on exactly what he does say. I think it's really important for the game, and it could be very good or it could be very negative. And we just won't know until this live stream happens and hear what he has to say. But I'm really interested to hear what you guys think. If you've made it all the way to the end of the video here, hit that thumbs up button, hit the sub button if you haven't already. Until next time, I appreciate you watching. Have a good one. Hey guys, appreciate you watching. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button, ring the bell, and sub to the channel for the latest news updates and how-to guides.